Welcome back to the show. This is Family Matters with the Smiths, the retired party of two. We just like to thank you for tuning in again with us. And of course, you know what my motto is. Hit that like, subscribe, and share button. I bring you greetings. I am Linda Smith, and this is
David Smith. And again, we're just excited that you're back with us to be able to share some of our experiences and to be a little transparent about who we really are. Because remember, on the last episode, I told you most people think that I'm a very still, stern person.
absolutely.
So this is a kind of a loose time for us.
Yes,
Kind of share
yes,
with
yes.
each other. So we want to kind of talk today about how did we come to write this book. It is called Family Matters. It's called Family Matters. You know, back in 2014, I personally lost 3 members of my family. They were dear to me. They were close to me. And you know how that was. And they reached out to me and wanted me to do the eulogies. And I lost like my uncle, I lost my auntie, and I lost the first cousin. And, you know, it was like in a 3-week span. And I didn't understand. I'm like, oh, man. And so it really started to make you look closely about family and kind of like, what are our relationships? And do we really have time for each other? What do you kind of think about that on the family issues? Like,
Yeah, sometimes we begin to move around so fast,
Yeah.
doing stuff, everyday things, and with the rush of life and with your daily chores, and you know, we just get so busy. Sometimes we just don't stop to actually spend time with family. So this gave us a real good avenue to go down to spend time, even more time with family.
exactly. And you know what's really, it's like we don't take time with family like we should, but when a funeral comes, then we take time to go to the funeral. And to me, that you got to really think about that. Like, that really don't make sense. So we need to start taking out more time with our family. But to kind of go back again, you know, I lost 3 relatives, and so after we attended the funerals, we started kind of doing postings on Facebook, and we just kind of started talking about, you know, how important family is, and there were family functions. My wife would hashtag Family Matters,
Yes.
and so with that, it just kind of made us start thinking, man, family really does matter. And so I was able to, we were able to attend a workshop together at the NCGCC, and we were able to attend a workshop. And attending this workshop, there was someone there that was telling us about writing a book. It was Miss Julia Royston, and I attended that workshop in 2018, and then we never did anything.
Right,
I bought
right.
all this material, and my wife was on me, said, you buying all this material stuff. We bought all this material, came home, and a year later, we hadn't started writing anything.
At all. And so what happened is that he asked me to actually attend the last session. And so I went into the session, and it was actually about book writing with, like he said, Julia Ralston. And so I went into the workshop, and so she was saying, Miss Smith, your husband has been in here and he's got material and so forth, but never started anything.
Now, remind you, this is a year later in 2019. This is a whole year later, 2019. We are now beginning to start attending the workshop, and that's the one she went and attended on my behalf because I had to go to another class, and so here it is. Go ahead and keep talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went to the workshop with Julia, and so she was kind of pointing out the class was full. And so after the class was over, I stayed back to talk to her because I wanted to find out where he was on talking with her. And she says, Miss Smith, she says, I think you're going to have to give him a little boost to go ahead and start writing. You guys need to go ahead and start writing that first book. And so he was going to write himself a book. I was going to write myself a book. And then we came together. We were like, why don't we just do a book together for the first time? Is to write a book together. And so we ended up calling Miss Ralston and said, I think we're ready.
And here's another thing. Let me tell you, behind every good man, there's a good woman. Because when you talk about family, we talk about marriage. So because I was hesitant and I'm a procrastinator, it was good that my wife was able to go in and make this recommendation and to push us to start writing this book. But by the time 2019 rolls around, guess what? We still hadn't started writing anything. I think we kind of came up with a few topics, maybe to write about Family Matters during 2019. And then the next year come 2020. And so let's talk about 2020. Everybody knows what happened in 2020.
Oh, absolutely. That's when the shutdown happened of the pandemic.
Yes.
And so I heard the voice saying, you have plenty of time to do plenty of writing now. And so we were just sitting home one day, and we actually got on the phone and we actually talked to Julia. And we were kind of bouncing off of her, and she was like, okay, let's get started with this. And so we did. We sat down and we started writing nuggets. And so we had been doing that through the year anyway, just kind of writing nuggets. And so we began to actually format and put things together. And Julia said, okay, you guys have gotten started, so let's go forth with it. And so when the pandemic happened, we all was shut down. And so what happened, we started writing. We sat down and we just started writing. We started coming up with ideas, and we started actually putting things on paper, what we thought, and talked about the family, how God orchestrated the family, how the family should look. And so that's when we really came up with the book of Family Matters. So when we came up with the book, we didn't know all that was entailed with it, having to, get book covers and get information, put information together, and so research, and because a lot of research, because you really don't want to put out misinformation, so you have to research to actually find out what needs to go there. And so we did a lot of research and put a lot of things together, and so that's when we came up with Family Matters.
Yeah, and I want to again give a shout out to Ms. Royston. She did a great job. She stayed on us. She's with Royston.
BK Royston. BK Royston Publishing.
BK Royston Publishing. BK Royston Publishing. Go out there and like her page, and she does a great job and helping assist you. And she will stay on you 24/7. She will stay on you 24/7. Let me tell you, if you're not ready, but she's gonna make you get ready 24/7.
Yes.
So go out there and like her page, and she'll be more than happy. She writes children's books. She has all kinds of books.
Yes.
However, we wanted to make sure that we asked her to hold us accountable, because we would have never gotten this far if she would not have held us accountable. And in the process of us writing this book called Family Matters, it took a lot of back and forth. But guess what? Because of the pandemic, we had the time to do it. Now, I remind you, we were still doing ministry. We were still doing streaming. During the pandemic, we were still doing community, passing out resources in the community. But we still had to make time to write this book. And I want to share with you, sometimes you just have to make time for yourself. Sometimes we serve and we do so much for other people that we don't do anything for ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so this was a great opportunity for us to say, we need to do something for ourselves. And that means sometimes leaving a legacy. Leave a legacy, for the work that you did, that your work or your service is still going forward. Yeah. So, we write this book, and we after this book was completed, we wanted to make sure first that we get some input, that we wanted to make sure that we get some input after this book was completed. And so what we did, we called our children together. That's just how important family is. I want you to understand family is important, and we wanted to make sure that our family, our children, was engaged and participated in what we were doing. They knew all the time. However, we wanted to make sure that they were part. And I think that's important. Involve your family. Involve your children. We have grandchildren. Right. We just wanted to make sure that they too were a aware of what we were doing, and we just wanted their input before it was published. So you kind of want to just talk a little bit about that a little bit.
Yeah, we actually did involve our family. Once we began writing and we got kind of to the end of our writing, we called the family together and we told the family, come together so that we could put the book on the table, we could put our writing on the table, and that we could actually go through this because it involves them. And so we want them to be aware of what we're writing in the book before we actually just publish the book. So we did do that. We came together as a family. And so I told him, I said, okay, so this is it. The kids, the grandkids, you know, they begin to get excited about the writing of our book also, too. And so what we did was we said, okay, I'll cook dinner, y'all come over, we'll sit at the table and we'll just kind of dialogue. And so that's what we did. We sit at the table and we dialogue about some of our things that had been happening in our family, some things that had happened in the family. And so we wanted them to be aware how we actually opened the book up and how we actually involved them in the book of opening up the lives of our family. Because we're very transparent with our family. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if we're too transparent sometimes, but we are very transparent with our family. Even when we were when our children was growing up, you know, their dad was pretty much kind of strict with them. And so, yeah. And so he was the strict guy. And so I would tell him. Stern and firm. Okay, well, we'll let you go with the SF, stern and firm. Okay, but he was very strict. And so I had to tell him, I said, you know, I just don't want my girls to grow up to where they would be trying to hide from us. So I wanted to be very open with them, that they were able to talk to us, or if they had a problem, they were able to come to us and not be able to hide from us.
And listen, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I appreciate that because as a pastor, as a father, you do not want your girls to be taken advantage of.
Right.
So sometimes as fathers, we can be a little bit stern. But my wife had to let me know that she wanted our girls to be girls.
Right.
And she did not want them, like she said, hiding behind our backs, doing things. You know, let me make a prime example. You know, young people, they leave to go to school with one set of clothes on, but they know when they're going to go out somewhere, they have another set of clothes. That's what we didn't want them to do. We wanted them to be honest with us. And so, yeah, I was stern, but I thank God for you because you helped me to see another side of that. And that's why I appreciate you. And that's why family is so important. That's why marriage is so important. That's why it's good for us to compromise with each other. You know? Right. So I think that was a good thing. So I'm sorry to make you lose your train of thought, but I wanted to make
Well, you did.
I just wanted to make sure I put that out there and show you how much I really appreciate that, because that really helped. I think that really helped our family to get that balance. I think all family needs a balance.
Right.
And everything.
And I think that was a balance for us, the strictness that he had and me having to have him to overcome that with our girls. So I thank God that our girls are very good girls. And I really wanted him to be that real good, strong father figure, to be able to set the example for our girls on how their husbands should treat them. When you're looking for a man, how a man should treat you. So I wanted him to have that example, them to have that example in him, they would be able to see that, and that he would be able to demonstrate that to them. So I think he did. He has done a marvelous job on setting the example of being a father figure and what they should look for in a man.
Absolutely. You know, as I was thinking about when we was talking about after we completed the book with our family, and we got their approval, the next thing we did was how were we going to market this book? How was we going to market this book? And because we weren't good with that, and the DK Royston helped us to understand that. And the first thing we started, since we were saying about this book was going to be about family matters, we started with our family.
Right.
Those were because you got to understand, 2020 is a pandemic. Everybody's locked in. Our book didn't come out until November. We received the books in December. And so we were trying to figure out how we were going to market these books. And the first thing my wife said, well, let's start with family. And that's what we did. We started with our family, and that's who we marketed it to. And I thank God for our family because they got that word out there. And then the next thing, we went from our family and marketed to them to our church family. And we appreciate New Bethlehem because we had I'll never forget, we had a book writing.
A book signing.
A book signing, yeah,
Yes.
book signing. And that was my wife's idea. So she's very bright in planning, and she has this great eyesight of vision. And so, again, I really appreciate you. So kind of tell them what that book signing was like during the midst of a pandemic, because we really weren't completely out of it. But the way you had it planned, I think that was excellent.
Yeah, because when we planned for the book, you know, we written the book, and nobody planned for a pandemic. Nobody. The uncertainty actually caught everybody off guard.
Yeah.
And so as we wrote the book, even though we wrote the book, we were trying to see how would we market this book.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, we did first with our family of our children, and our children actually to their friends actually came, and they actually helped push the book also. And then when we went to our church family, we did a book signing at the church. And so, you know, I wanted to do to the family first, and then to our church family, that they were able to be great, and they were great supporters of our book. Absolutely, great supporters. So we had a book signing in our fellowship hall, and just about everybody in the church bought a book, and we were very grateful for them.
Yes,
yeah, very grateful. Yeah.
So again, we just wanted to kind of just share with you a little bit about who we are for those who may not know us. Again, I'm David Smith. This is my wife,
Linda Smith, and we are the Smiths, the retired party of two.
And don't forget to hit that
like and subscribe button and share.
All right, and don't forget, here it is. We want to introduce this book to you. It will be in the comments below if you would like to order your book called Family Matters. We will make sure that it's hit this. Just go to that website at the bottom and order your book. Go to Amazon, but it'll be quicker if you go through Gumroad, and we'll be so happy and delighted. And I know this book will be a blessing to you. So again, thank you so much for joining in. And don't forget our next episode. We want you to come back again, and we're getting ready to sign off. The Smith family, the retired party of two. God bless.